Listen up, my Gucci Maniacs. This is another Out and About with Daryl Gooch. All right. Some of you have been watching my action figure wrestling, and got a couple of people who asked, well, why don't you have more actual wrestling figures? You got quite a few, but you've been doing a lot of like G.I. Joe and stuff like that. And a couple of people have been asking, why do you only have one female title? And I added a second one, but that wasn't good enough. So, I'm going to start with the female titles. Of course, y'all know we had the Women's Championship, which is held right now by Nikki Cross. I added a Tag Team Championship for the Women's Tag Team titles because Seth Rollins came with the Intercontinental belt and a Tag Team belt, so I made them the Women's Tag Team titles, which, as you can see, is held by the Pink and Yellow Power Rangers. I added an international title, which is currently being held by Winter, formerly known as Katie Lee Burgel, Paul Burchell's sister. And the Extreme title, which I had just recently added, which is being held by Brie Bella, Daniel Bryan's wife. So, now I broke the category of actual wrestling figures up into groups that you're going to be seeing in the next couple of videos. First, ones that I held out of the other box because they were put in the wrong box. And that's because when I packed everything, I just threw a bunch of stuff in boxes. And so did my sister. So some of the figures ended up in the wrong boxes. I usually have them laid out in a particular box that I like for each figure to be in. So until I can get their particular box, they're going to stay out as active wrestlers, which is Jay Lethal, of course, Abyss, Itch, which is autographed, by the way, Mark Merrill, James Storm, and Chris Harris, the America's Most Wanted. Good thing I left them out because I don't have a great deal of tag teams. Raven, Captain Lou. Now this Captain Lou is left out because the Captain Lou and the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and the Red Mask Executioner figures, each one of these guys, their heads are removable and you put other superstars' heads on them, which you get a bunch of extra superstar heads, and they belong in that particular box. I kept up the ECW Taz. Those were the holdovers until I can get them in the right box. The next group is what I call jobbers or enhancement talent, and cartoonish, because some of these are cartoonish figures, which I might recognize. And these were just a few leftover figures I didn't get rid of that I wanted to get rid of. And two of them are actual wrestling figures. They just happen to be the two wrestlers I dislike the most. If you watch my videos, you know who they are. Razor from Ninja Turtles. Bebop from Ninja Turtles. Iggy the Lizard from Ninja Turtles. Super Shredder. Robotic Rocksteady. He-Man. From the original He-Man line, Stinkor. Another one from the original He-Man line, Stratos. Orko. Baseball Raphael. Skateboarder Michelangelo. Skeletor. Poindexter, Jake Justice from Rescue Heroes. And now the two that are actually wrestlers I don't like. Roman Reigns. And of course, John Cena. Now this is the version of the figures that were supposed to be just the only ones in this box, which are the Roman Reigns and John Cena weren't part of the original line. They were part of the throwback line that Hasbro did with the spring action. Most of them that you're going to see are actually from that line, the original line. Figures that were made by different companies. I don't know how I ended up with two of these, but R-Truth. That's a TNA R-Truth too, by the way. I got two of them. I didn't know that. King Mabel. William Regal. MVP. Jesse Ventura. Both the British Bulldog and his son, Davey Boy Smith Jr. Hornswoggle. Kevin Sullivan. An old 1979 NWA Larry Zbyszko. Kurt Angle. And Chris Benoit. I did have a commentator in this box, which happens to be one of the commentators I actually have out. A different version of Classy Vanity Blassie. This one's in pink. As you can see, the other one is in red. Now, to the actual figure line itself. These are guys who weren't major players, but I actually like these guys, some of them. One of my favorite, one of the few heels I love to boo, because he was from Canada. The Mountie. Of course, two different versions of his American counterpart, the Big Boss Man. The Warlord. Akeem, the African Dream. Tatanka. Model Rick Martel. Brutus the Barber Beefcake. The Repo Man. Berserker's first figure. Now I got two Berserkers in two different styles. Texas Tornado Kerry Von Erich. Skinner. And for two of them that are more recent, but they were part of that throwback line, Sheamus and Kevin Owens. Now, I do have quite a few more tag teams. I do have some tag teams in this one. And one of them, I ended up getting two of one half of one of the tag teams. And I kind of did my own little paint job on him. So I left the one that came in the tag team packaging alone. But the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. LOD. The Bushwhackers. Butch is missing an arm. Axe and Smash of Demolition. Now to the ones that are big names. And some of these y'all might recognize the names. Ravishing Rick Rude. Two of them are original line. One was part of the throwback line. Three different Ultimate Warriors. From the throwback line, Undertaker and Kane. So technically I have another tag team there with the Brothers of Destruction. from the throwback line, Brock Lesnar, Chris Jericho, one of my personal favorites, one of the few Canadians I actually like, Mankind, HBK, Shawn Michaels. I got two versions. One was the tag team one, which I gave a different paint scheme to. And if I wanted to clean that off and go to the original paint scheme, all I have to do is just dip him in alcohol and it'll get the paint off. Kurt Angle, this time with the hair, which is part of the throwback line. Part of the throwback line, one of my personal favorites, Sting. So I got Roman, Sting, and Benoit. That's three guys who were part of the Four Horsemen. I could possibly make a Four Horsemen group if I only had a fourth member of the Horsemen. Stone Cold Steve Austin from the throwback line. Jake the Snake Roberts from the original line. Even got Damien his snake. Hulk Hogan, which I got another Hulk Hogan like this. Must be in another box. Okay, now I'm down to my top 5. Bret the Hitman Hart. Razor Ramon. Ooh, I'm having a hard time to decide which one of these three to pick up first. I'll go with the Macho Man Randy Savage, Sergeant Slaughter, and the Nature Boy Ric Flair. So I can do a Four Horseman group because I got Benoit, Flair, unfortunately Roma, and Sting. Well, that's it. Those are the figures that are coming up soon in Action Figure Wrestling.